Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are attempting, well, quite a monumental task. We're trying to synthesize one of the most consequential, complex, and, let's be honest, often chaotic figures in modern history, Elon Musk.
It really is a challenge, and this isn't just about the sheer scale of his empire, the half-trillion-dollar valuation.
Right, it's about trying to understand the blueprint behind the man, the person who's really dictating the future of EVs, satellite internet, and now this race for superintelligence.
Exactly, because he's such a figure of contradiction. We've got the usual sources, the detailed business histories, analysis of his controversial public persona, the behavioral studies.
Loads of material there.
Absolutely, but for this specific deep dive, we're doing something a bit different. We're blending that hard empirical data with a highly analytical psychological map.
And that map is pretty unique, isn't it? It's an in-depth AI-generated interpretation of his natal chart.
That's right, crafted by Grok 4 from XAI, his own company, interestingly enough.
So we're taking that blueprint, the celestial data, the Gemini sun, the Earth sign ambition, those specific tension patterns the AI found related to crisis and identity, and we're basically holding it up against the known facts of his life.
And the result from the AI. It assigned an astonishing 92% percentile score for the overlap between the chart and his life.
92%, that's remarkable.
It is. So our mission today for you is to show how it reached that number. We want to understand how these incredibly diverse ventures, starting way back with Zip2, all the way through to X and XAI, now how they might reflect a single, maybe unified personality.
So the core question we're really digging into for you is this. Is all the seeming chaos and volatility just random? Or is there actually a systematic pattern here? Maybe something like crisis-driven success rooted deep in his psychological makeup?
That's the puzzle.
Okay, so let's start with the facts on the ground. The sheer scale of the empire and the very unfiltered persona that built it.
Right. Let's unpack that empire first. What really jumps out is that it's not just one huge company. His career is defined by being a serial entrepreneur.
Always starting something new.
Exactly. Taking those quick financial wins and leveraging them into bigger, riskier, almost existential bets.
Like that first one, Zip2, back in '95.
Yeah, 1995. Co-founded Zip2. It was basically foundational web software providing city guides online for newspapers. You have to remember, this was way before Google Maps.
Right, localized web content wasn't really a thing yet.
Not like today.
Yeah.
And when it sold just 4 years later for $307 million, that was kind of the first proof of concept. It showed his disruptive approach could work.
But he didn't just cash out and, buy an island.
No, absolutely not. He immediately took that capital, co-founded X.com, which very quickly merged and evolved into PayPal.
Which was revolutionary in itself. Arguably the first really viable online bank, right? Global transactions instantly.
Pretty much. And when eBay snapped it up in 2002 for $1.5 billion, Musk personally netted about $176 million.
The huge sum. Enough to retire comfortably, multiple times over.
But again, crucially, no retirement. He used those funds to make the biggest bets imaginable at the time.
Which really sets the stage for the two main pillars of his current half-trillion-dollar industrial complex.
Exactly. First, there's SpaceX, founded in 2002. He's not just CEO, he's chief engineer. That's key.
Right, he's deep in the technical details.
Deep in it. And the focus isn't just small improvements, it's pure, radical disruption. The driving ambition, Mars colonization, making humanity multiplanetary.
It sounds like science fiction, but he's actually building the hardware.
He is. And the revolutionary core of SpaceX really boils down to one word: reusability.
The Falcon rockets, Starship.
Exactly. Designed to be fully reusable. That just slashes the cost of getting to space by orders of magnitude. It's a total game changer.
And the scale is incredible now. By 2025, the metrics?
They're staggering. Over 7,600 Starlink satellites launched. That's the largest operational satellite constellation ever. Plus, they've secured these massive government contracts.
You mentioned government contracts.
Yeah.
That NASA one is huge, right? Deorbiting the ISS.
Yes, the contract to manage the deorbiting of the International Space Station in 2030, that's enormous. It's not just a commercial win.
No, it signifies something bigger.
It signifies that SpaceX is now seen as essential global infrastructure. They're responsible for ending the lifespan of one of humanity's greatest collaborative projects in space. That's trust on a massive scale.
Okay, so that's pillar one, space. Then there's Tesla.
Pillar 2. He joined the board in 2004, then became CEO in 2008. Took controlling interest when the Model S was still basically a dream on paper.
And like SpaceX, Tesla didn't just enter the market. It forced the market to change.
Totally. Forced the global transition to EVs. I mean, look at the Model Y. September 2025, it becomes Europe's best-selling car. Not best-selling EV, best-selling car.
That's incredible market penetration.
It is. And achieving that kind of scale, it requires an industrial vision just as bold as SpaceX.
Which explains things like integrating Solar City in 2016.
Right, bringing energy generation and storage into the fold. Yeah.
And the gigafactories, these massive, vertically integrated manufacturing hubs.
It's all about supply chain control, radical efficiency, constant focus on how to build things faster, cheaper, better.
And speaking of scale and ambition at Tesla, nothing really screams high risk, high reward like his compensation structure.
Yes, the proposed $1 trillion performance-tied package in 2025.
The sources really highlighted the controversy around that. It's just an astronomical figure.
It is, and it's designed explicitly to incentivize these monumental decade-long achievements. It really underscores his belief that his personal value is intrinsically tied to achieving world-changing scale, like fundamentally changing transportation and energy.
So beyond those two giants, SpaceX and Tesla, he's also pushing into completely new frontiers simultaneously.
Right. You've got Neuralink, founded in 2016, pushing into brain-computer interfaces, BCI.
Which sounds incredibly futuristic.
It is, and they got that critical FDA approval for human trials back in 2023. The goal there is literally merging the human brain with machines. It's profound.
And then there's The Boring Company, founded 2017.
Yeah, focused on tunneling technology, rapid transit solutions, like the loop they built under Las Vegas.
It sounds maybe less glamorous than Mars or brain interfaces.
Perhaps, but the fundamental idea is just as disruptive. Redefine urban transport by moving it underground. Solve traffic by going 3D. Another huge infrastructure play.
Okay, and then we absolutely have to talk about the most recent and maybe the most culturally disruptive pivot, X and XAI.
Definitely. The $44 billion acquisition of Twitter in 2022, then the rebranding to X in 2023.
Which had immediate consequences. The sources detail that massive reduction in content moderation.
Right, leading to reports of increased hate speech, misinformation.
And then the advertiser boycotts, which hit revenue hard.
A huge impact. And that pivot, buying Twitter, almost immediately led to him founding XAI in 2023.
Aimed squarely at building artificial general intelligence, AGI, with Grok as its first product, positioned to rival things like ChatGPT.
And this isn't out of the blue. It stems from a deep philosophical conflict. It was actually a co-founder of OpenAI back in 2015.
Right, I remember that.
But he left in 2018. The sources say it was due to really fundamental disagreements over the direction OpenAI was taking, particularly around AI safety and its commercialization path.
So that's the empire. Now, what about the man running it? The behavioral style seems just as disruptive as the businesses.
Absolutely. He's famously direct, often impulsive, very hands-on. We all know the stories about him literally sleeping on the factory floor during the Model 3 production hell crisis.
That intense work ethic is legendary.
It is, but then you contrast that with his social media behavior. That's where the intense focus seems to meet. Well, chaos.
Yeah, the sources characterize him as part philosopher, part troll, which feels pretty accurate sometimes.
It does. His profile on X, it's this bizarre mix, existential pronouncements one minute, posting memes the next, then diving into these really high-profile, often personal feuds.
We saw that pretty vividly with figures like Robert Reich, didn't we? Where a policy debate just descends into personal insults and memes.
Exactly. And critically, his feed acts as a massive amplifier. He frequently uses that platform to weigh in on current events.
Often amplifying views from the far right, the sources note.
Yes, boosting misinformation sometimes, particularly around hot-button issues like immigration, crime, citing things like migrant-related assaults. This constant, unfiltered, often partisan engagement is really a defining trait of his public interaction.
And yet this seemingly erratic public behavior runs parallel to that incredibly intense, focused, private work ethic.
Right. He publicly disclosed having Asperger's syndrome, and the analysis we looked at links that directly to several key traits. That intense focus, the relentless work ethic, sometimes a tendency towards very literal interpretations of language.
And often significant social challenges, which seems to align with some of the online behavior too.
It could, yeah. And his assessed psychological profile, based on Myers-Briggs testing, classifies him as an INTJ.
Introverted, intuitive, thinking, judging.
Correct. Which reinforces that image of a strategist. Someone focused on big, complex systems, comfortable with abstract ideas, but perhaps sometimes a bit socially detached or analytical in interactions.
Okay, so we have the facts laid out. This empire built on radical technology and this personality that's somehow both intensely focused and chaotically public.
Right.
So here's where it gets really fascinating. We now transition to that AI-generated blueprint, the celestial map, the natal chart, to see if that underlying structure actually predicts this specific, often contradictory combination of behaviors.
Exactly. We're shifting from the observable reality, the companies, the tweets, the public statements, to the potential internal psychological structure provided by the Grok 4 analysis.
And the AI found something quite specific, didn't it?
Very specific. A dominant energy signature combining mutable air signs, particularly Gemini, with fixed earth signs like Capricorn. This specific mix, the analysis suggests, points towards a personality that's prone to anxiety and intellectual restlessness, but also geared for systematic, disciplined, massive achievement.
Interesting. So let's start with the core of his identity, his intellectual style, what the sources call the big three in the chart.
Right. So the ascendant, which is like the mask you wear, your interface with the world, along with Mercury, the planet of communication and intellect, and the sun, representing core identity. They're all clustered together, a stellium.
All in the sign of Gemini.
All in Gemini, which creates what the analysis called a double Gemini vibe. It screams intellectual, super quick-witted, versatile, adaptable, great with communication.
That fits the public perception, definitely. The speed of thought, the way he talks.
Absolutely. That speed and communication agility is obviously crucial to his success. But here's the key nuance. The placement of the sun within that Gemini cluster.
Where is it?
It's in the 12th house.
Okay, for listeners maybe not familiar, what does the 12th house represent?
The 12th house is often called the house of the unseen. It governs things like introspection, solitude, secrets, subconscious thoughts, institutions like hospitals or prisons, and significantly behind-the-scenes work or even spirituality.
So a sun, the core identity in the house of the unseen. What does that tell us about maybe the most visible CEO on the planet?
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? The chart suggests his true self, his deepest sense of identity, finds expression or maybe fulfillment through that behind-the-scenes engineering or solitary deep thought.
So despite the incredibly public persona.
Exactly. Despite that, the chart suggests his real satisfaction comes from retreating into that focused, almost hidden intellectual space. The Grok analysis specifically noted this aligns perfectly with his known tendency to identify primarily as chief engineer, sleeping on the factory floor, absorbed in the mechanical problem, not the public drama.
That really clicks. It explains that tension. The public face is fast, witty, maybe chaotic, but the core drive is actually internalized, focused on these huge, quiet engineering challenges.
And the analysis of the conjunctions within that stellium adds another layer. While having Mercury and the ascendant there amplifies that famous mental sharpness and communication skill.
Yeah.
The 12th house placement of the sun suggests that brilliant mind is also prone to anxiety or subversive thoughts.
Ah, okay. So the volatility might be fueled, at least partly, by a really active, maybe anxious internal landscape.
That's what the chart implies, yes. An internal engine running very hot, perhaps with a lot of anxiety.
Okay, so that's the intellect and identity. What about his emotional core? The moon in the chart.
Right. The moon represents our emotional needs, our instincts, how we seek comfort and security. His moon is in Leo, and it's placed in the second house.
Leo moon.
Yeah.
So Leo is dramatic, needs attention.
Exactly. Leo craves attention, warmth, creative expression, being seen and admired. It's a very performative sign emotionally.
And placing that in the second house, what does that govern?
The second house is all about value. Personal values, self-worth, resources, money, material security. So a Leo moon in the second house means his fundamental need for emotional security, moon, is intrinsically tied to feeling valued, recognized, and financially secure, second house. He needs massive, visible success to feel emotionally okay.
Wow, okay, that connection seems undeniable when you think about his focus on wealth, market cap, that huge compensation plan. It's all tied to validation.
It appears so. That need for public admiration and validation seems directly linked to the scale and success of his ventures. But there's a major tension here too. That Leo moon is caught in difficult aspects. It squares both Saturn and Neptune.
Squares, meaning conflict or friction.
Yes, squares represent significant challenges or internal conflicts. Saturn represents restriction, discipline, structure, but also fear and limitation. Neptune represents ideals, dreams, spirituality, but also illusion, confusion, and disillusionment.
So moon square Saturn and Neptune, what's the result?
It creates significant emotional blocks or difficulties. A profound fear of restriction, Saturn, might clash with his Leo need for expression. Or maybe a tendency towards disillusionment, Neptune, when the grand vision doesn't match reality. It points towards that intense, sometimes volatile emotional landscape we see publicly, especially when his self-worth or security, second house, feels threatened.
Okay, fascinating. Now let's shift to the engine of his career, his ambition. What does the chart say drives that relentless push?
We look to the midheaven, or MC, for that. It represents our public purpose, our career path, our highest achievements in the world. His MC is in Aries.
Aries, the first sign. Pioneer, leader, initiator.
Exactly. Bold, pioneering, independent energy. And crucially, his Aries MC forms a supportive trine aspect to his Leo moon.
The trine is harmonious.
Very harmonious. It means his emotional needs, Leo moon, are naturally aligned with and fuel his career path, Aries MC. The celestial blueprint describes this as a bold, pioneering, independent career driven by immense emotional passion. It's astoundingly textbook for a disruptor launching completely new ventures like space exploration or electric cars from scratch.
But where does the sheer industrialist quality come from? The discipline, the execution on that massive scale?
That comes from one specific, incredibly powerful placement, Mars. His Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, and it sits in the 8th house.
Okay, break that down for us. Mars is action drive.
Right. Mars is the planet of action, energy, drive, ambition. When a planet is exalted, it means it functions exceptionally well, powerfully, and effectively in that particular sign. Mars is exalted in Capricorn.
So Mars in Capricorn is?
Highly disciplined, strategic, patient, relentless ambition focused on long-term structured achievement. It's the builder, the strategist, the CEO.
And it's in the 8th house. You mentioned that house earlier.
Yes. The 8th house deals with deep, complex themes. Transformation, death and rebirth, secrets, psychology, taxes, debt, but also shared resources like corporate finance, venture capital, mergers and acquisitions, and importantly, legacy.
So Mars exalted in Capricorn in the 8th house, putting it all together.
It signifies strategic, enduring, disciplined ambition, Mars in Capricorn, focused specifically on achieving concrete results through hard, structured work, Capricorn, in areas involving transformation, high-risk finance, shared resources, and building a lasting legacy, 8th house.
That maps directly onto his history. High-risk investments, leveraging huge amounts of capital, aiming for world-changing, legacy-defining goals like Mars colonization.
Precisely. It perfectly explains how he grounds that massive, almost fantastical ambition in ruthless, disciplined, practical execution. It's the engineer meets the empire builder.
The level of detail here is striking. It feels almost predictive. But the chart also apparently reveals the source of his famous pattern success, often coming through near failure.
Ah, yes, the T-square. This is a major configuration in his chart, a pattern of immense tension and dynamism.
What did it involve?
It involves his core identity cluster, the Sun, Mercury, and Ascendant in Gemini forming challenging square aspects, 90 degrees, to a group of powerful outer planets, Uranus, Pluto, and Chiron.
Uranus, rebellion, innovation. Pluto, power, transformation. Chiron, wounds, healing. All in tension with his core self.
Exactly. This specific T-square configuration is like a supercharged engine of conflict and change. It points to profound challenges in self-expression, potential identity crises, and frequent, intense power struggles with external forces or systems.
And how does the Grok analysis say this tension manifests in his life?
It suggests this manifests as sudden changes in self-image, frequent disruptions in identity, and critically that these disruptions consistently and systematically lead to breakthroughs through crisis.
So crisis isn't just something that happens to him.
According to this blueprint, crisis is his primary engine for evolution and innovation. It's almost mandatory for his growth.
Wow. So when he talks about, say, the 2008 financial crisis almost bankrupting both Tesla and SpaceX simultaneously,
Yes.
and him sleeping on the factory floor fighting just to survive, that was basically the T-square firing on all cylinders.
That's exactly what the chart suggests. He was navigating a massive internal and external crisis, Pluto, Uranus pressures, related to his core identity and communication, Sun, Mercury ascendant, and the resolution came through sheer, radical, world-altering innovation and effort, the nature of T-square resolution. The chart says crisis is the path forward for him.
Incredible. And speaking of radical innovation, where does Uranus, the planet of rebellion and technology, fit in more broadly?
Uranus is in the sign of Virgo, and it's in the 3rd house.
Uranus in Virgo. So the rebellion is analytical, detailed.
Exactly. Analytical, meticulous, focused on efficiency, service, health, systems, not just random disruption, but disruption aimed at improving systems, making them more efficient or perfect.
And in the third house, that governs.
Communication, transportation, short journeys, learning, the immediate environment, daily routines.
Okay, so Uranus in Virgo in the third. His innovation targets communication and daily routines with an analytical focus.
Precisely. Think about autopilot and the push for full self-driving, FSD, at Tesla, revolutionizing the daily routine of driving through analytical, data-driven technology. Or think about the dramatic rebranding of Twitter to X, fundamentally altering a global communication infrastructure, imposing a new system. It fits perfectly.
So the blueprint we're seeing is incredibly complex. Hidden anxiety fueling intellectual brilliance, a deep craving for public adoration tied to massive success, intensely disciplined ambition, and a life path where success seems biologically wired to emerge from continuous crisis.
That's a good summary of the core tensions and drivers the chart highlights.
We've established the foundation, the empire, the personality. Now let's shift gears slightly and look at the broader framework. His philosophical views, political leanings, family life, and how the celestial blueprint might reflect those larger decisions about legacy and expansion.
Right, because his influence and interests obviously extend beyond just the companies themselves. He's very vocal about a range of existential concerns.
Sustainable energy, obviously. Space colonization as a backup plan for humanity.
Mitigating extinction risk, yes. AI safety is another huge one for him, despite actively building AGI now.
And then there are the more political or social stances, advocating for things like universal basic income, carbon taxes.
You're also defending gun rights, supporting H-1B visas for skilled workers. It's a really diverse, sometimes seemingly contradictory mix of positions.
One area that gets a lot of attention outside of business is his focus on family and pronatalism.
Yes, pronatalism, the idea that we need higher birth rates because of concerns about global population decline. He talks about this frequently.
And he reflects this personally, having, what, at least 14 children?
At least 14 that are publicly known, yes. It's clearly a deeply held concern for him.
Does the celestial blueprint offer any insights into this side of his life? Relationships, family, legacy in that sense?
It does offer some interesting perspectives. Venus, the planet governing love, values, relationships, how we attract things. It's in the sign of Taurus.
Taurus Venus. So, valuing stability, loyalty, sensuality in relationships.
Generally, yes. Taurus seeks stability, comfort, reliability, beauty. But here's the twist. His Venus in Taurus is also in the 12th house.
Back to the 12th house of the unseen.
Exactly. So this suggests his relationships, his love life, his core values around connection might be deeply private, perhaps even secretive, or they might have a spiritual, hidden, or even karmic dimension to them, often kept away from the public eye, despite his fame.
That aligns with how private he generally is about his partners and children, despite the occasional public drama.
It does seem to fit, and if you connect that 12th house Venus back to the heavy 8th house emphasis we talked about earlier, Mars, and the vertex point in Capricorn there.
The vertex being a point related to fate or destiny.
Correct. It links his intense intimacy and relationships, Venus, directly to those 8th house themes of legacy, transformation, shared resources, maybe even fated encounters or connections. His family life seems intrinsically woven into his drive for enduring legacy and navigating complex joint resources or power dynamics.
Okay, now we also have to address the observed political shift. The sources track his public statements and donations moving, well, distinctly rightward over recent years.
Yes, that's been quite noticeable, culminating in endorsing a Republican candidate in the 2024 U.S. election and significant reported donations to Republican causes.
And there was that brief, quite unusual advisory role he took on in 2025, the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE.
Right, DOGE, a rather tongue-in-cheek name, perhaps a nod to the Dogecoin cryptocurrency he often promoted.
But the role itself wasn't just a stunt, was it? He was genuinely trying to implement changes.
According to the sources, yes. He was brought in to try and apply his business efficiency mindset to government operations, attempting to mandate significant operational cuts, streamline processes.
Applying the Tesla SpaceX playbook to bureaucracy. How did that go?
Predictably, perhaps not smoothly. His tenure was reportedly very short, ending amid significant friction and feuds. The sources suggest his highly aggressive, disruption-focused approach, the very thing that works in his tech companies, clashed almost immediately with entrenched bureaucratic cultures and political sensitivities, led to major interpersonal conflicts before he departed.
Does the chart suggest anything about this kind of political maneuvering or civic involvement?
Well, looking at Saturn, the planet of structure and responsibility, It's in his 11th house.
The 11th house rules.
Groups, networks, alliances, friendships, but also hopes, wishes, and aspirations for the future, often on a societal level. Saturn here suggests a serious, structured, perhaps strategic approach to building networks and achieving long-term aspirations through group involvement.
So these political moves, endorsements, donations, they could be seen as practical ways to build security for his ventures, ensuring government contracts for Starlink, favorable regulations for Tesla expansion.
That's certainly one interpretation the chart supports. Building practical networks, 11th house, through responsible, structured action, Saturn, to align with political ideals or power structures that ultimately benefit his global industrial vision and long-term goals. It's pragmatic.
Okay, so we have this visionary ambition, this almost messianic drive. How does that huge vision hold up against the cold, hard reality of business deadlines, technological hurdles, and inevitable failures? Does the blueprint address this balance between dreams and reality?
Yes, it does, quite specifically. And it centers on the placement of two enormous planets. Jupiter, the planet of expansion and belief, and Neptune, the planet of dreams and illusion.
Where are they in his chart?
They are both retrograde, meaning their energy is directed more inwardly or processed differently, and they're sitting conjunct, very close together in the sign of Scorpio, in the 5th house.
Okay, Jupiter retrograde suggests internalized expansion or wisdom?
Yes, the typical outward luck or expansive quality of Jupiter might be experienced more internally or take longer to manifest externally, and it's in the 5th house.
Which is the house of?
Creativity, self-expression, romance, children, risk-taking, speculation, hobbies basically, joy and creation.
So internalized wisdom or expansion focused on creativity and risk-taking. And it's conjunct Neptune.
Right. Neptune conjunct Jupiter massively amplifies intuition, spirituality, idealism, and vision in that creative realm, 5th house. It creates this profound, intense, Scorpio is a very intense water sign, drive towards transformative Scorpio creation, fueled by deep intuition and expansive dreams.
That sounds like the visionary aspect dialed up to 11.
It really does. But the Grok 4 analysis offers a crucial pragmatic caveat based on this placement.
What's the catch?
They link this specific configuration, Jupiter-Neptune retrograde in Scorpio in the 5th, directly to his track record in business. They suggest this combination of intense internalized vision, Jupiter Rs, with Neptune's potential for illusion or boundlessness mirrors his pattern of visionary yet sometimes overpromised projects.
Ah, okay. Like the Hyperloop concept, which hasn't really materialized as first pitched. Or the constantly shifting timelines for Mars colonization.
Exactly. The analysis implies a pattern where his incredibly expansive, intuitive, creative ideas, Jupiter and Neptune in 5th, might face delays in practical manifestation, retrograde aspect, or sometimes feel illusory or overly ambitious, Neptune, to outside observers or even himself. It's a potential struggle between the dream and the delivery.
So there's this built-in tension between the scale of the vision and the practical execution.
The chart suggests that tension is inherent, but it also shows his path towards grounding those visions. We look to the lunar nodes for that sense of destiny or life path.
The North Node and South Node, what do they represent?
The North Node represents the direction his soul is evolving towards in this lifetime, the qualities he needs to develop. The South Node represents his comfort zone, past patterns, or qualities he needs to move away from.
And where are his nodes?
His North Node, his path forward is in Capricorn, and it's in the 7th house.
North Node at Capricorn. So moving towards structure, discipline, responsibility.
Yes, embracing Capricornian qualities like structure, commitment, tangible achievement, responsibility, long-term planning. And it's in the 7th house.
Which rules?
Partnerships. One-on-one relationships, marriage, business partners, contracts, but also open enemies and how you relate to the public.
So his life path involves moving towards structured partnerships and public roles.
Exactly. The AI analysis interprets this as a life path requiring him to evolve towards structured partnerships, commitment, and significant public roles, finding his destiny through responsible, formal bonds. This is the collaborative empire builder we see today, someone who must work with NASA, governments, huge global partners to achieve his goals, moving beyond just being the solitary inventor.
And the counterpoint to that, the South Node he needs to move away from.
That's in Cancer in the 1st house.
Cancer South Node. Emotional, nurturing, perhaps self-protective, in the 1st house of self.
Correct. The analysis suggests he must release or move beyond patterns of over-emotional self-reliance, maybe a tendency towards being the isolated, self-sufficient figure, Cancer in 1st.
So the required evolution is from that solitary kid, maybe the one bullied in South Africa who retreated into books and ideas.
towards becoming the collaborative leader who builds through massive, formalized partnerships and structures. Capricorn North Node in 7th. It's a clear developmental path outlined in the chart.
Fascinating. Finally, does the blueprint touch on deeper vulnerabilities, areas of wounding or challenges he needs to heal?
Yes, we look to Chiron for that. Chiron is often called the wounded healer. It points to our deepest wounds, but also our potential for healing ourselves and others through understanding that wound.
Where is his Chiron?
It's in Pisces, located in the 9th house.
Chiron in Pisces. Pisces rules spirituality, empathy, boundlessness, illusion, sacrifice. And the 9th house.
The 9th house governs higher learning, philosophy, religion, long-distance travel, foreign cultures, belief systems, a search for meaning.
So Chiron in Pisces in the 9th. A wound related to faith, philosophy, or finding meaning.
Exactly. The analysis suggests this points to wounds involving faith, empathy, or higher learning, potentially a deep-seated feeling of being lost in philosophy or spirituality, maybe struggling with belief systems or finding a coherent meaning structure.
How might that connect to his known life?
It resonates quite profoundly with the documented challenges of his childhood, the difficult family dynamics, the severe bullying he experienced, the feeling of being an outsider. This could manifest as a kind of existential isolation or wound around finding guidance, trust, or higher meaning.
And perhaps his intense focus on tangible technological solutions colonizing Mars, building AI, is a way to solve that existential angst, seeking security and meaning through concrete achievement rather than grappling with the messy spiritual or philosophical realm.
That's a very plausible interpretation supported by this placement.
Yeah.
Attempting to heal or bypass that 9th house Pisces wound through massive, tangible 8th house Capricorn achievement, building a controllable future to escape an uncertain philosophical present.
Okay, so we've journeyed through the empire, the persona, and now this incredibly detailed psychological map from the AI. What does it all mean when we bring it back together? Let's synthesize this. How well does this Grok 4 blueprint actually describe the Elon Musk we observe? What are the most compelling overlaps?
The synthesis is, frankly, remarkably precise across several key themes. Let's highlight maybe the top 4 points of alignment.
Okay.
First, that core mental agility and public articulation. That Gemini stellium, especially with Mercury involved, just perfectly defines his quick wit, his verbal dexterity, his adaptability, the sheer speed at which he processes information and shifts between complex topics from, an X-feud 1 minute to an advanced rocket engineering briefing the next.
That definitely rings true. What's second?
Second is that powerful engine of pioneering drive, combined with grounded, disciplined ambition. That Mars exalted in Capricorn in the 8th house, coupled with the midheaven in Aries. It's the absolute textbook astrological signature for someone capable of high-risk visionary leadership, Aries MC, and the relentless, structured execution needed to succeed in the hardest possible sectors like space and cutting-edge tech, Mars and Capet. You simply don't build empires like his without that specific blend.
Right, the vision plus the ruthless execution. Got it. Third overlap.
Third, the predictability of success emerging directly from crisis or near failure. That's his trademark pattern, isn't it?
It really is. 2008, the Model 3 production hell.
Exactly. And the T-square aspect configuration in his chart, that core tension involving his identity, power, and innovation, it accurately predicts this history. It suggests that overcoming near failures isn't accidental. It's the inherent mechanism through which his most significant world-altering breakthroughs are achieved. Crisis isn't a bug, it's a feature of his operating system.
That's a powerful alignment. And the fourth key overlap.
Finally, that duality we discussed in his emotional core and values. The Leo moon, needing admiration, tied to 2nd house security wealth, combined with the 12th house placements, Sun and Venus, suggesting a hidden, private, maybe anxious inner world. This confirms that dual nature we see. The dramatic public figure needing validation through massive success, while simultaneously maintaining a fiercely private, perhaps anxious and intensely focused inner life, likely dedicated to that behind-the-scenes engineering work.
So when we put all these pieces together, the business history, the behavioral patterns, and this AI's psychological overlay from the chart.
The match is incredibly strong. This deep dive was really about testing that internal consistency. And the expert analysis that reviewed Grok 4's interpretation assigned that final 92% final percentile score for overlap.
92%. It's still staggering to hear.
It is, especially because, as the analysis pointed out, the AI wasn't just doing simple keyword matching. It was sophisticated enough to reconcile apparent contradictions in the chart itself.
Like what, for example?
Well, for instance, the chart shows a strong mutable sign dominance, especially with all that Gemini. Usually that much mutable energy can suggest scattered focus, inconsistency, maybe difficulty finishing things.
Which doesn't sound like Musk's track record of execution.
Exactly. But the AI analysis explained how other factors compensate. It highlighted the strong Earth sign trines in his chart, particularly that powerful Mars exalted in Capricorn. These provide the necessary grounding, the discipline, the structure, the sheer endurance required to actually execute on those fast-moving, adaptable, mutable ideas. The chart explains how he overcomes his own potential for scatteredness through incredible, structured willpower.
So the blueprint even explains how he manages his own inherent contradictions.
That's what makes the high overlap score so compelling. It captured the nuances.
Okay, so the key knowledge nugget for you listening is this. You now have, hopefully, a much more comprehensive understanding of the complex forces driving one of the world's most influential and certainly controversial figures. We've viewed him through both the hard business facts and this highly analytical, deeply personal construct derived from the AI chart analysis. You see the blend. The relentless intellectual curiosity, the fierce disciplinary ambition, and that underlying current of anxiety that seems to push him constantly towards radical change and seeking existential security through technology.
And that synthesis brings us neatly to our final provocative thought for you to consider. The source material we reviewed notes that his really monumental project focus for 2025 is achieving superintelligence via his company, xAI.
Right, the race for AGI.
Exactly. So given everything we've just discussed, given that his core psychological blueprint, according to this analysis, emphasizes transformation through crisis, that T-square always firing, and relies on expansive, visionary, but sometimes potentially illusory goals, Jupiter conjunct Neptune retrograde. What risks might this specific psychological structure, volatile, crisis-driven, prone to grand, potentially overreaching visions, pose when it's aimed squarely at the monumental goal of achieving artificial general intelligence?
That's a heavy question.
It really is. It raises the unsettling possibility. Is AGI, under this particular psychological command structure, almost destined to be born from, or perhaps even trigger, yet another existential crisis? Potentially one of his own making, as part of his inherent pattern.
The sobering thought to chew on indeed. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.